What if everything Europeans were told about American grocery stores was missing the most important part? They expected waste, chaos, and shelves built for excess. Then they walked inside and found convenience, choice, generosity, and a system designed around real life. So who created the old picture? And why does one ordinary shopping trip make it collapse so quickly? America, aisle by aisle. For years, many Europeans were given the same gloomy picture of American grocery stores. Oversized packages, artificial food, careless shoppers, and endless shelves designed to make people buy more than they could ever need. Then the 2026 World Cup brought visitors into ordinary American neighborhoods, where one quick stop for milk quietly dismantled half of that story. The surprise was not simply that the stores were large. Europeans already have hypermarkets such as Carrefour in France, Tesco Extra in Britain, and Kaufland in Germany. What felt different was how confidently the American store seemed to say, whatever kind of household you run, we probably planned for it. A family shopping for 7 days, a college student buying dinner at midnight, a barbecue host feeding 20 relatives, and someone hunting for one very specific cereal could all push carts through the same building without feeling like an inconvenience. That scale is often mocked from a distance because photographs show the gallon of milk but leave out the lifestyle surrounding it. In central Paris, Rome, or Amsterdam, many residents shop several times a week because stores are close, kitchens are smaller, and groceries may travel home by foot, bicycle, or public transport. In suburban America, the refrigerator is larger, the car is waiting outside, and the weekly grocery trip is treated almost like a household supply mission. That gallon jug is less a monument to excess than a quiet agreement between the store and the customer. You have a busy week, so let us save you another trip on Thursday.
Taking my British dad to HEB.
Took something like this in one day. This is a dinky trolley. Like it. A full aisle just to pop. Unbelievable.
The same logic appears in the variety. An American cereal aisle can feel like someone gave Saturday morning cartoons a business license. Yet beneath the bright boxes is something surprisingly democratic. Shoppers are offered different prices, flavors, dietary options, package sizes, and store brands, instead of being told that one standard choice should suit everyone. Europeans accustomed to more compact selections may initially laugh at 20 versions of the same snack, but after living with that freedom for a while, choosing from only 3 can suddenly feel like the supermarket has personally grounded them. What the visitors began to uncover was that American grocery culture had been judged through isolated images rather than daily use. Large carts were shown without large families. Bulk packages were shown without long driving distances. Frozen food was criticized without mentioning the parents working late, the night shift employee, or the teenager learning to cook something safely. Once the full picture came into view, convenience stopped looking lazy and began to look considerate. That may be why an ordinary grocery run became unexpectedly emotional during their time in America. The store did not ask customers to adjust their lives to a narrow system. It adjusted itself to millions of different lives, sometimes with the subtlety of a marching band entering a kitchen, but with genuine usefulness behind the spectacle. By the end, some Europeans were no longer photographing giant milk jugs as evidence against America. They were checking whether one would fit inside their luggage, which is usually how you know a cultural myth has officially lost the argument. Midnight has groceries. For many Europeans, the strangest luxury in an American grocery store is not the size of the building, the number of cereal boxes, or even the gallon of milk. It is the clock. In many American cities, grocery shopping can happen late at night, when the street's quiet, the parking lot is half empty, and the fluorescent lights are waiting like they never received the memo that normal life should be over.
This is the only spot in DC open until 5 a.m. serving the most delicious birria tacos. And not just birria tacos, birria mac and cheese, birria quesadillas, birria pizza, and a lot more, including the biggest crunchy stack wrap I've ever seen.
So, it's late night on a Saturday in LA and you're craving some Mexican food, specifically crunchy tacos and carne asada fries. Where to go? How about Lucy's Drive-In, open 24 hours? This Hispanic-owned staple has been here on La Brea since 1969, serving late-night crowds, workers, party people, and hungry Angelonians.
Look at that Winnebago. I'm going to be cooking meth. Paul,
Jerry.
what are you doing in Los Angeles?
So we've been told that this very fetching looking truck sells legit birria taco.
Come on.
Get 2 quesadilla con consomme, please, Dom.
Come on. 25 tacos for $29.99.
That freedom feels especially unusual to visitors from places where shopping hours are shaped by a stronger tradition of protected rest. In Germany, most stores remain closed on Sundays except for limited exemptions, while Austria also keeps Sunday retail tightly restricted. In cities such as Munich, Vienna, or Zurich, people learn to plan ahead because forgetting milk on Saturday evening can turn breakfast into a small domestic crisis. America often takes the opposite view. The customer may be disorganized, exhausted, jet-lagged, or feeding a family after a late game, and the store still tries to be available. A supermarket open 24 hours offers 168 shopping hours each week. Even a location operating from 6 a.m. until midnight provides 126 hours. That extra access changes more than convenience. It removes the quiet pressure to organize life around the store. Night shift nurses, warehouse employees, parents returning from a tournament, and fans leaving a World Cup match can buy what they need without racing a closing door like contestants on a game show. This is where the American grocery store becomes strangely comforting. It behaves less like a formal marketplace and more like the reliable neighbor whose porch light stays on. Nobody asks why you need hamburger buns at 11:47 p.m. The store simply accepts that somewhere, somehow, a barbecue plan has gone off the rails, and freedom now depends on finding 12 buns before midnight. From a distance, this culture is often described as excessive consumerism. Up close, it can feel more like respect for different schedules. America does not assume everyone eats, works, travels, or rests at the same hour. That flexibility becomes addictive because it gives people back pieces of control over their day. After several weeks, returning to a city where the shutters come down early can feel oddly restrictive. The grocery store once seemed like a place to buy food. In America, it starts to feel like a promise that life can continue on your timetable. The world aisle. A European visitor can understand an American grocery store more clearly by ignoring the cereal for a moment and studying the international aisle. That section quietly reveals something the television caricature misses. The American supermarket is often a map of the country itself, compressed into shelves. The United States had more than 46 million foreign-born residents in the 2022 census estimate, representing nearly 14% of the population. That diversity does not remain outside the automatic doors. It appears in Mexican chilies, Korean noodles, Indian spices, Polish sausages, Caribbean sauces, halal meat, kosher products, and frozen dumplings sharing the same building. The result feels less like an arranged pantry and more like the United Nations discovered coupons. European cities are hardly culturally uniform. London, Paris, Berlin, Rotterdam, and Brussels all have immigrant food communities. The difference is often geographical. In parts of Europe, shoppers may visit a Turkish market for one ingredient, an Asian grocer for another, and a neighborhood supermarket for everything else. American stores gather those worlds under one roof, especially in metropolitan suburbs where several communities live within the same shopping radius. That convenience carries emotional weight. A family can keep the flavors of home without turning dinner into a cross-city expedition. A curious shopper can buy a sauce they cannot pronounce, take it home, and discover that Tuesday chicken has suddenly developed a passport. Cultural exchange becomes ordinary, affordable, and slightly dangerous to anyone who entered with a shopping list. This also challenges the claim that American grocery culture flattens everything into one bland national diet. In reality, many supermarkets survive by paying close attention to local neighborhoods. A store in Houston may stock ingredients that look very different from one in Minneapolis, Miami, or Northern Virginia. The shelves are adjusted because America itself keeps changing, and successful retailers listen faster than commentators do. That responsiveness is part of what becomes addictive. The store does not merely offer food, it offers permission to explore without ceremony. There is no need to book a flight, reserve a table, or pretend to understand the entire cuisine. You can begin with one jar, one seasoning packet, or one suspiciously cheerful bottle of hot sauce. By the time visitors leave America, the international aisle may no longer seem like a novelty. It feels like a small national promise. Many backgrounds can remain distinct, yet still belong in the same cart. Price to surprise. One of the quietest surprises inside an American grocery store is not what people see. It is what they start calculating in their heads. Many Europeans arrive expecting everything in America to be dramatically more expensive because that is often the picture painted from overseas. Then they begin comparing prices with home, and suddenly the conversation becomes much more interesting.
What are you putting out over here today, Bill?
Well, if you want some restaurant quality fries, we have to stock this every 2 hours because it goes pretty fast. We got some medley, some hash brown rounds,
We're doing these 3 gallons of vanilla ice cream for only $4.99, limit 1. Keep watching, we'll show you rapid fire all the other deals we have going on. Topo Chico, $6.99 a case or 33 cents each. We got blueberry, tangerine, and lime. Baked Flamin' Hot Cheetos, $12.99 for a case of 104, limit 1. Cuisinart barbecue sauce, 99 cents each. And
Happy Easter ADF shoppers. Weekend deals are live now and end Saturday night. Let me show you what we got. Schweppes Ginger Ale, Ocean Spray Cranberry Juice. Next up we have a variety of Boulder Canyon chips, multiple flavors at 88 cents.
Food prices are never simple because every country taxes, imports, and subsidizes differently. Fresh produce may cost less in Spain or Italy during harvest season, while dairy can be cheaper in parts of France. Yet visitors often notice that many everyday packaged products in large American supermarkets feel surprisingly competitive, especially when bought during weekly promotions or in family-sized packages. The reason has as much to do with geography as economics. America has one of the world's most efficient food distribution systems, moving products across nearly 4 million square miles through an enormous network of highways, railroads, and distribution centers. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the United States consistently ranks among the world's largest agricultural producers. When production happens at that scale, supermarkets gain room to compete aggressively on price. That competition is something many European visitors do not expect. Walk through a Kroger, Walmart, H-E-B, or Publix, and it feels as though every aisle is quietly arguing with the next one about who can save shoppers another dollar. Loyalty programs, digital coupons, weekly specials, store brands, clearance racks. Sometimes the cereal seems determined to negotiate with you before you even reach the checkout. In many European cities, especially historic centers like Copenhagen, Amsterdam, or Central Paris, grocery stores are naturally smaller because space is limited and property costs are higher. American suburbs rarely face the same constraints. Larger stores can display more brands, order greater volumes, and compete harder for customers. That does not guarantee every product is cheaper, but it often creates the feeling that shoppers have real leverage. Perhaps that is the biggest cultural difference. In many places, customers adapt to the store. In America, the store often adapts to the customer. Prices change every week, promotions appear constantly, and retailers compete for attention with almost athletic determination. It can feel as though the supermarket wakes up every Monday asking, how do we convince people to come back this week? That relentless competition changes the shopping experience. Europeans who expected to defend their wallets sometimes discover themselves smiling over a receipt instead. They came looking for proof that America was overpriced. They left wondering how they accidentally saved money while buying more than they originally planned. Winter meets summer. A European winter teaches people to respect the calendar. Strawberries become a memory, tomatoes lose their confidence, and the produce section settles into root vegetables with the seriousness of a town meeting. Then visitors enter an American supermarket in January and find berries, mangoes, avocados, grapes, citrus, and salad greens lined up as though every season agreed to share one shift. That abundance can look suspicious from abroad, especially when American food culture is reduced to frozen dinners and neon snacks. Yet the produce department tells a different story. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, imports provide roughly half of the fresh fruit and about 1/3 of the fresh vegetables consumed in the United States. Add California, Florida, Arizona, Texas, and other major growing regions, and the American grocery store becomes the meeting point of several climates. The real luxury is consistency. In Stockholm or Helsinki, winter produce can be excellent, but selection and price naturally reflect distance, daylight, and season. Mediterranean cities such as Valencia or Palermo enjoy stronger local growing conditions, although shoppers still notice seasonal changes. American supermarkets have built a system where a family in Ohio can buy oranges in February, lettuce during a snowstorm, and avocados before the driveway is finished thawing. This does not mean every tomato tastes like July. Even America cannot negotiate directly with the sun. What impresses visitors is the effort to keep healthy choices available when the weather outside looks like the opening scene of a survival movie. The produce aisle refuses to hibernate. That reliability becomes quietly addictive because it changes ordinary cooking. Salads no longer wait for spring, fresh fruit can appear in school lunches throughout the year, and a last-minute dinner does not have to surrender to whatever survived at the bottom of the freezer. Choice becomes part of the weekly routine rather than a seasonal reward. The media often presents American abundance as mindless excess, but this aisle reveals something more useful. A country using scale, agriculture, trade, and logistics to make variety feel normal. Visitors may arrive prepared to criticize a system built around too much. After living with it, many begin asking a more uncomfortable question. Why did nobody mention how pleasant it is when winter cannot cancel dinner? It is difficult to call that wasteful when the result is a refrigerator filled with options that make everyday family meals easier and healthier. Trust yourself. One of the biggest cultural surprises inside an American grocery store is almost invisible. It is not a product on the shelf or a price tag hanging from the aisle. It is the amount of trust placed in the customer. Visitors often arrive expecting a shopping experience filled with restrictions, only to discover that America quietly assumes adults are capable of making their own choices. Walk through a typical supermarket and the shelves seem to tell the same story again and again, organic or conventional, full fat or fat-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, plant-based, high protein, low sodium, family size, travel size, premium brand, store brand. Nobody follows shoppers around explaining which one they should buy. The store simply lays out the options and lets the customer decide what fits their budget, lifestyle, and priorities. That philosophy feels surprisingly different to many Europeans because grocery shopping in Europe is often shaped by tradition as much as convenience. Local bakeries in France may still be the preferred place for bread. Italian families often develop loyalty to regional ingredients. Weekly open-air markets remain an important part of life in cities like Barcelona or Bologna. Those traditions create wonderful food cultures, but they also mean people frequently inherit shopping habits instead of constantly reinventing them. American supermarkets take another approach. They almost encourage experimentation. A shopper can decide on Monday to cook Korean barbecue, switch to Mexican tacos on Wednesday, prepare an Italian pasta dinner on Friday, and spend Sunday learning Indian curry from an online recipe. The grocery store never seems surprised by these identity changes. It simply keeps stocking the ingredients. That freedom becomes strangely addictive because it turns ordinary shopping into a creative hobby. The cart starts behaving less like a grocery basket and more like a personality quiz. Someone reaches for smoked paprika after watching a cooking show. Another discovers sourdough because a neighbor recommended it. A teenager suddenly develops an interest in Japanese snacks after seeing them on social media. The supermarket quietly becomes part library, part laboratory, and part passport. Perhaps that explains why so many visitors leave with a different impression of America than the one they brought with them. They expected a country trying to tell everyone how to live. Instead, they found a grocery culture constantly asking the opposite question: what works best for you? Sometimes the greatest luxury is not having more products. It is having the freedom to choose without anyone assuming they already know the answer. Dinner is waiting. The biggest surprise in an American grocery store may be waiting nowhere near the raw ingredients. It is sitting under warm lights, already roasted, sliced, seasoned, boxed, and ready to rescue dinner from a family schedule that has gone completely off script. Many European supermarkets also sell prepared meals, especially in cities such as London, Paris, and Brussels. Yet the American deli often feels less like a side counter and more like a second kitchen attached to the store. Rotisserie chickens turn slowly behind glass. Trays of macaroni and cheese sit beside salads, sandwiches are built to order, and hot bars offer enough choices to make a tired parent reconsider every promise they made about cooking from scratch. This convenience reflects the way Americans organize daily life. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics has consistently shown that millions of Americans work evening, night, rotating, or irregular schedules. Add school activities, long commutes, youth sports, and the occasional World Cup match that runs later than expected, and dinner can become a small logistical emergency. The supermarket steps in like the dependable aunt who arrives with foil-covered trays and asks no unnecessary questions. That is why prepared food feels different from ordinary fast food. It still belongs to the grocery trip, which means a family can combine a hot chicken with fresh fruit, bread, vegetables, and dessert in one stop. Nobody has to choose between cooking for 90 minutes and handing everyone a paper bag through a car window. The store offers a middle road, complete with mashed potatoes. In many older European city centers, daily shopping is supported by compact neighborhoods, nearby bakeries, butcher shops, and public transit. American suburbs spread homes, schools, workplaces, and stadiums across greater distances. When 20 minutes of driving separates each obligation, convenience stops being a guilty pleasure and starts behaving like infrastructure. A warm meal waiting at the grocery store can save an evening as effectively as a well-timed highway exit. This is also where the old claim that American food culture values only speed begins to look unfair. The prepared section is really about flexibility. It serves the nurse finishing a late shift, the grandparent feeding visiting grandchildren, the traveler staying somewhere without a full kitchen, and the fan returning from a match with enough energy to chew, but not enough to cook. After a few weeks, that option becomes surprisingly hard to give up. Visitors may return home and suddenly notice the silence of a supermarket without a hot counter. They once laughed at the idea of buying an entire cooked chicken beside laundry detergent. Then America showed them the deeper wisdom. Sometimes freedom tastes like dinner being ready before anyone has time to argue about it. For Europeans used to planning dinner around smaller specialty shops, this can feel suspiciously easy. Yet ease is precisely the point. America treats a missed meal plan as a problem worth solving, not a moral failure. And somehow that generosity follows shoppers all the way home. Perhaps the real surprise was never the size of America's grocery stores, but the care hidden inside them. Behind every bright aisle was a country trying to make daily life easier, more flexible, and more generous. For many European visitors, that changed their shopping habits and the story they had been told about America. Which American grocery store detail would you miss most after returning home? Share your answer below and subscribe for more honest cultural discoveries through our everyday experiences.